Originally, the net, the balloon net, was originally used on the East Coast. And everybody started bragging how good these trawls were. They were called a balloon net. And all our fishermen was using a Biloxi flat net, or the undercut net, or the box net that we had that was designed in our area. They was doing satisfactory. But when the balloon nets come into existence, some of the boats from Florida was using them. They got them from the East Coast. And they come down here to fish in our fishing territory certain times a year. And they would come to me, you know, and bring me some of those nets for repairing. And I'd ask them, I says, what type of net is this? They said, well, it's a balloon net. We all using them in Florida. They come from the East Coast. And that was the only place you can get them. So he said, but we have a problem with them. They work good. He said, but they tear up just about every drag if you get a little weight in them in the corners. There was a corner in the top and bottom of the net. See, a net comes in on a sharp taper this way, then it makes it turn. It comes that way and it makes it turn towards the middle. And there's a strain there where they make the turn. Well, now where that strain was, I figured out how to stop these trawls from tearing there. It wasn't stopped at that time. These trawls here, where it made that sharp turn, the people that were making them, they put a heavy piece of webbing in it, heavier than the net was made out of, thinking that it would stop them tearing there. It didn't do it. It kept tearing there, regardless. That was such a weak point. So I got to thinking, and I looked at my flat trawls that we were making, and the flat trawl had a different turn in it there. It had like a jib. It was another piece of netting that was just hanging above there, you know, above where that seam made the turn. So I said, you know, what we need to put here is get a piece of netting and put a taper on it, like a point and two bars. In other words, it came down slowly like this. And that piece of netting was relaxed, and it fitted in that corner, which was right here, you see. The corner was here, and it went that way. Well, by putting that piece of netting there, a long strip, it relaxed this strain here, and there was no more problems. And they couldn't figure out how I made that taper for a long time, but they finally did. It got a little trick to it. How many meshes you had to go back according to the size of the net. You couldn't put that taper in every size net. If I'd have put that same taper in a 50-foot net, it wouldn't have worked as well as I put it on a 40-foot net. You see, it had something to do with what you knew about netting. And then therefore, I made one like that, and I gave it to one of these Florida guys that was down here. I said, now, I got a net here I want you to use. And put it on the other side. It was pulling two trawls sometimes. Put it on one side, compare the catch, compare the workmanship, and let me know what you think about this net. So he went out, you know, during our first of the season, and the shrimp was abundance out here in the Sound and further out in the Gulf. And they done real well. They was catching a lot of shrimp for drag. When he come in, he said, "Mister, make me 4 more of those nets." He said, boy, there was a lot of money in them. First thing you know, I was getting orders from everybody in Florida that was coming down here, because when he finished the trip, which was 7 days, my net wasn't tore at all in them corners. The other net was. That was a selling point.
They come up with these nylon nets, and they just don't work right. They just, if you have a hole in them, it's hard to patch. These can be patched and repaired, and they last a long time. Once they dip there once, we'll dip them in copper tops and a little mineral spirits, and make them last a little longer. Anyway, it's a labor of love.
You don't learn it in a year. You don't learn it in a month. You don't learn it in 4 years. It takes many, many years, so you have to start at a real young age.
The string goes through the little pointy thing, and then it goes down, and it goes through the whatever that thing is.
Down on the point, East Biloxi. each family, each group of families had a different style, a different method for knitting a net. They had different ways. They used different knots. There were different techniques. But a net really only has 2 or 3 different types of knots in it. And the knot that I use is called a flying hitch. And this is the most commonly used. There are several different types, but the top knot that I use is the flying hitch. And the easiest way to know how to do that is you reach up and you grab the bar. You make a loop, your little pinky finger, and you come up here so that you have 2 bars. Now you make a loop, and then you just thread through them like that. And there'll be 2 loops that are coming. One here, and the one that's around your finger. And you pull until this one comes up and touches the top of the bar. And when it does that, you let go. And they'll catch together and make a knot.
The net that was tied with that flying stitch, we call it, was a better net. It held on to the duration of that net, even though that net might have been 5, 6, 8, 10 years old. Them knots never slip.
It's all just volunteer for me, so I just want to pass it on to somebody else. And I ask people when I start teaching them, do me one thing, teach their son or their grandkids how to, or your daughters even. I've had 2 young people, a girl and a boy, and they were enthusiastic that come in. Their mother called me and said they're going to come back the next time. And the little girl is really, really interested in it. She wants to, she said she already forgot how, but she wants to start back. So, but it's fun.
Did you notice how I rolled it all the way around to the other side? It's important that the knots come out on the same side, because if not, your lead line's going to twist on you. And anytime you can do it, see I got a loose end there? Anytime you can cinch your loose end under another knot, it makes it that much stronger.
And there's a couple little tricks of the trade that you need to know when building nets. And if you look at a lot of the photographs of the net makers and stuff, especially the ones that the fishermen were repairing on their boats and stuff, there's always the problem is, well, where are we going to hold our net at? Well, the one thing is the God gave you probably the best tool right there, and that's your good old toe. That's probably one of the, all the pictures you see of the net makers, they all got their barefoot and sewing on their trawls like this, you know.
You know, as I said, it's something that you're kind of born with. It's kind of expected of you, and you want to do it. And just to give you an idea how it works, when each of my children were born, my father made them each a cast net as a birth gift, and they all still have them.
So I pulled all the webbing off. I filled that paddle up with webbing, and so to start it back up again, you just reach up there and loop it on there on the paddle again, the spacer, and then just start all over again.
Well, it's part of our culture because that's all we ever knew. Particularly here in the Point Cadet area. That's all everybody ever did. Either work on a boat, knit cast nets, patch trawls, catch oysters. That's all there was. There was nothing else here to do. When it first started, that was it. That's why we was known as the seafood capital of the world, because that's all we did.
There are not a lot of commercial fishermen and net makers now as there used to be, and some say we're going to disappear. I don't believe it. America will always need net makers and commercial fishermen.
Ocean of love, ocean of love, how many times have I come to your shore? Sunshine and calm, rainy and rough. I come to you, you give me more than enough. You ease and please me with your wind. Stand and I look to you and I see no end. Your heart's larger than my view. Ocean of love, bell fountain blue. Bell fountain blue. You ease and please me with your wind. I stand and I look to you and I see no end. Your heart is larger than my view. Ocean of love, bell fountain blue. Bell fountain